The speed at which people are turning on Rowett is remarkable, says James. We're going through a sticky run, but find me a team in our position that doesn't have these periods. It's not terminal. We have an experienced Championship manager. Please keep the faith. And that's what we're putting to our panel this week on Where Yellows Walk. It's episode 30. Thank you for joining us. Why are fans turning on Rowett, and is it at all deserved? But why also are Oxford not looking interested in recent games? We're looking back on that West Brom game. We're going to look at the March fixtures together and just see how many of 15 points the Yellows can pick up. And we're going to ask our team here, who would they like to see go down from this division? Which fan base has been getting on their nerves the most? Delighted to have Connor and Sam back with us this week. How are you all doing? Thank you very much for all the love on last week's video. If you haven't checked it out, go and have a look at it. It was all about whether fans need to do more. And I tell you what, they couldn't have done any more at the Hawthorns, Connor, because that was a great crowd. Just unfortunately, the players on the pitch couldn't make them go home happy. What was your view of it all?
It was not the best. Let's be honest. I think it might have been one of the worst performances under Rowett that we've had. It was a tough watch at times, especially during that first half, especially.
Sam, we'll get on to some tweets in a minute that suggest Oxford are looking disinterested. Would you agree with that assessment?
I think there are certain members of this squad that are looking a bit disinterested at this moment in time. Usual suspect being one of them. Look, like we showed at the beginning there, Mark, there are people turning on Rowett. I know it doesn't feel it because, a string of horrific results in the past couple of games, but, we've lost, of our last 5 games, we've lost 3. Those are our first 3 losses under Gary Rowett. Those are our only 3 losses under Gary Rowett. So it's not as horrific as it feels, but there does need to be a drastic turnaround because, we had some games against sides that we should have been taking points, not necessarily West Brom, but definitely we should have been getting something against Portsmouth and Derby, given where they are around us. And it's led us to a position where we're back in amongst that relegation conversation, and it's not going to get any easier. Players need to butt their ideas up, and it's really frustrating because as much as we're doing well with the ball between both boxes, we can't create anything to save our lives.
Cheers for that, Connor. Sam, people were describing Oxford as not looking interested. This tweet here says, Morgan says, don't look interested again. We're going down. I'm not accepting that, but are they right to say that?
To a certain degree, it's the usual suspects that are looking disinterested at big moments during games. It's frustrating because we looked okay between boxes against West Brom, but can't create anything to save our lives. A lot of focus on the results, as you showed at the start, Mark. The reality is that first 3 losses of the campaign in the last 5 games under Gary Rowett, not horrific run of form given where we were, but it has dragged us back into a relegation conversation, and the fact we didn't get results against Portsmouth and Derby, which we really needed to. It's slightly worrying, especially with the games in March we've got coming up, because they don't get any easier.
Yeah, we'll sort of look at them in a second. Cheers, Sam. Some of the negativity is coming through his team selections, Connor, and here's an example of what we're talking about. And I'm sorry to go back to an old favourite. If you've been watching us in the last 3 weeks, you know exactly what's coming here. So there's the lineup from Saturday, even before the game starts. Okay, we had Cameron saying Phillips over Mills is a crime. Matt Phillips, this can't be real. Lockie says Rowett football. Please be more positive and please take your love child Phillips off and replace him with Mills. Is he in danger of losing credibility with his persistence in playing a player which clearly the fans can see isn't working?
I think there's a potential that things, because at the moment the cause of Rowett's out, even as ridiculous as I think they are at the moment, is very minute compared to a lot more level-headed fans. But say this coming game and then the week after that, if we see that Phillips is continuously starting, given what his attitude is showing us on the pitch, and some of the performances that he's putting in, then the credibility that Rowett had, as you say, will drop very quickly. And it's a funny old game how football works. Like, he was the second coming of the Messiah when we went on a 7-game unbeaten run. And now with these, 3 losses in the last 5, haven't scored a goal or 1 goal in that time. No, Ford has scored a goal since Boxing Day. And as I said last week with Romney, it's going to be slightly similar now, that there was going to be attention on if he didn't play Romney, what is the issue there? Now there's going to be a different issue of if he's still playing Phillips in that starting lineup, what has he got over other players that someone else hasn't? I can understand from a perspective that use the excuse of he's got championship experience, but we have other players in that starting lineup who have, in my opinion, just as much sufficient championship experience. Will Volks being the main obvious one, Kieran Brown being another from his time when he was at Cardiff. We also have, he hasn't played that many games at a championship level, but has still been at Swansea and Norwich at the championship level in Placheta. So using the excuse, I think, of that he's an experienced head in the championship isn't really going to fly anymore, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned Romney there, Connor, because we talked about that last week, didn't we, Sam? And saying, well, he should get a start. He did get a start. How did he do? Did he merit his start against West Brom?
He looked bright. Obviously, it's the same problem Romney had that a lot of our forwards have, is that there's a lack of service towards them, so they're kind of feeding off scraps. The little that he did have, I thought he worked pretty well. Again, that dogged determination to try and get to every ball. Some bits of really, really good technique to keep possession. I think there was a period of the game where he managed to take it around, I think, 2 or 3 West Brom players. And he's just, I really, really like him. And, obviously not seeing the output from him yet, but it's a very bright start that we've got an option, in Ollie Romney that can do that. Just to touch on the Matt Phillips thing, obviously we've talked about a lot, Mark. It was very, very notable that when he got brought off, he got booed by his own fans, and the West Brom fans were singing his song, which I thought, ironically, some of the lyrics were "He's fast as lightning," which he sure as hell isn't nowadays. But yeah, it's very, very notable, and like Connor said, it's getting very, it's getting not concerning, but there's a lot of confusion now about why he continues to get minutes when there seems to be a lack of effort. I mean, this is a lad that's our joint highest paid player, and he's not putting in the work to, for that money, in my opinion.
It is a mystery, and we're sorry to keep bringing it up, but our role on here is to go through what all social media is talking about, and sadly, week after week, it keeps coming back to this the same point. I'm sure against Coventry, he will be on the bench. I hope for next week's podcast's sake he is. Right, a little positive then, a small positive and a negative, I suppose, given what happened in the game, though, Connor. The return of Joe. I think hobbled off with an injury, from what I hear as well. Well, first of all, how serious is it? Have we heard, and how good was it to see him back?
I actually haven't read up, if I'm honest, how serious it is. I haven't heard anything about how bad it is, but in the first instance, it was great to see him back. I thought that he was a very important part of when we got promoted from League One, albeit in a different system of playing football. But the main issue we have now is that we essentially have no left back, and our only remaining left back at the moment is our best player playing at centre half. So it's a bit of a conundrum that we've got. We can't recall, as far as I'm aware, we don't have the option of recalling Jack Curry, as that time period has passed. And I think we said in previous episodes, Mark, that it's all been a bit captain hindsight, saying that we should have recalled Curry and needed to recall Curry, when I think that, as we've said before, that not a lot of people are willing to acknowledge that he's probably best staying where he is at the moment.
Yeah. And also during that period, everything was running fine, wasn't it? You're doing really, really well. One last one on this one then, which kind of And there's on a sour note. Malcolm says we've had 2 shots on target in the last 3 games, 3 points in 6 games, 1 goal in 6 games. It's worrying. The first half yesterday was abysmal. 0 attempts on goal. We've got tough games still to come. Coventry, Leeds, Sheffield United, Sunderland at home. He needs to sort it out urgently. Sam, you're still 8 points above the bottom. Many people's, you aren't in anyone's predictions to go down, because all you need is a couple more wins. I would say what, two wins and 2 draws, something like that, should get you to 48, and that's been enough in every season, last 10 seasons, to keep a team up. But where are these 2 wins coming from? Should we have a look at March and see if you can pick out anything from there?
Well, that's the major concern, is that Hull is, so they're 5 points below us. That's a game we should be looking to get 3 points in. But the rest of it, Coventry, obviously, under Frank Lampard, they've been incredible. 10 wins of his 17 championship matches in charge. And then, Norwich, obviously, we surprised them on the opening day, but they look a completely different outfit from the side we faced. Watford and Middlesbrough and Sheffield United, that's going to be 3 very, very tough games of football. And annoyingly, the other 2 games I think we're most likely to get points in are 2 of the last 3 games of the campaign, away to Swansea and away to Cardiff, or away to Cardiff and away to Swansea is in the order. Because other than that, we've played everyone around us and we haven't taken, we've not made the most of those opportunities.
Yeah. It'll be home games against Watford, though, and dare I say even Sheffield United. I know they're second or will be third by that point, but they haven't looked. They are beatable, Connor. It's not a foregone conclusion. Even Middlesbrough away, you know what their form is going to be like at that time. They are the worst team in the league. So, do you still think you'll survive? You're not falling back into the camp of we might go down here?
No, I'm still pretty confident we're going to stay up, purely because this championship has been quite a poor quality, as we've seen for quite a few years. I think that Luton, they are very poor. Watched them yesterday against Watford. There is nothing to them whatsoever. They seem toothless. They are worse than us, and I think I can say that with chest. Derby, at the moment, they seem to be in a similar position to us, that they can't put the ball in the back of the net, although they might have a tiny bit of defensive stability. I think that they are heading for the drop as well. And then when it comes to Plymouth, in the bottom 3, the only other one that might have a slight chance of staying up is Plymouth. However, just going back to those fixtures, I would argue that Hull, the worst team at home in the division, only 2 wins all season. We should be looking at 3 points there, as Sam says. And then Watford, they're a bit Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde away from home. So if we got a point from there, I'd be relatively happy. And oddly enough, at the moment, given the current run of form, and if he is still in post by then, it's wild to say for a club our size, but if we should be looking to get a point at Middlesbrough, and that would be absolutely massive to get a point like that after only having 1 win in the last 7 or 8, I think it is, and then losing the rest. And then we get on to April. I'm sure we'll come to this later down the line, but it's just worth mentioning now. Come to a game like QPR at home, somewhere where we have to be looking to pick up points, and then targeting that Cardiff game, one of the penultimate away games of the season.
Absolutely. I've got no worries at all that we'll be seeing Oxford in the fixture list when all the stuff is done in June. However, I do want to ask you, which fan base would you like not to see there as our final item this week? And join in with us in the comments. It's a little bit of fun. We've asked every Championship team which we do podcast for, which is all 24, of course, which teams they would like to see relegated, not who they think is going to go down, but who have they had enough of. Now, no one has said Oxford yet, not a single team. So you are well liked by most. But Sam, if you could relegate one of these sides now for any personal, private, or any reason whatsoever, which one would it be?
It's tricky. I think the answer I'm going to go for is Luton, because obviously, it's not as serious as our derbies against the likes of Reading and Scum, but a little bit of history with them, and I think it'd just be hilarious to see them do back-to-back relegations. That being said, Kenilworth Road is still the ground that I'm yet to do So, you know, it'd be a shame to lose that one. You know, they've been really poor this season. And it doesn't look like changing much for them. You know, still many games to go, but yeah, I think a lot of people are tipping them to go down. I think I'd probably say, just for the hilarity, them doing back-to-back relegations.
Okay. Connor?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go Luton. Just as Sam said, it's not really a rivalry, but there's a bit of bite between the two clubs stemming back from our touts with each other back in non-league and everything that went on off the pitch really then. So I think they've had their fun up in the Premier League and come straight back down. So, you know.
Okay. Brilliant. Right. Let us know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with that and give us your own reasons. Thank you very much, both of you. Enjoy the game against Coventry City and welcome Frank Lampard to the Kazam. And we'll see you back here in 7 days' time to review it all. Don't forget to drop us a like and subscribe if you haven't done it. We are so close to 100. So close. Can you help us get there? It'd be absolutely massive to get there. Thank you very much, you two. We'll see you in 7 days.